Naya is in a fragile state, both physically and emotionally. Her mate Ocean is there, but their relationship is strained by secrets. She's been through so much, and now she's facing death. The irony is, the closer they get to the truth, the more dangerous it becomes. Will they find a way to heal their bond and survive, or will the secrets destroy them? 11.5 Lee. Maya's P. O.V. A woman with dirty blonde hair and dim blue eyes stared at me in pure shock. Her hand hit her open mouth, unshed tears trembling against her lower eyelids. I felt emotionally detached, my recent recovery leaving me awkward in social situations. She engulfed me in a tight hug. Oh Naya, you're so real. Tears were streaming down her face. You're so beautiful. I awkwardly patted her back, looking towards Ocean for some help, relying on his protective nature. Not so tight. Ocean managed to pry her off me, his helpful demeanor shining through. She's still recovering. I'm guessing you're Ely. I motioned for her to sit down, my voice flat and devoid of emotion. She had been waiting for us at Ocean's house by the time we got home. Macy, Aaron, and Josh were there too, including another unfamiliar face. He introduced himself as Lee's mate, Onyx Renshaw. He was from Central Hem but moved northern with Lee when LaRusso found out about Ocean. The mention of LaRusso's name sent a chill through the room, reminding us of Ocean's mysterious past. Lee had been looking for answers ever since. The tragedy was that no one knew a wolf could be snatched away so easily. How could one fully obliterate a supernatural quality without killing the vessel? We made small talk, usually with Lee enthusiastically asking me about my life and telling me about her Naya. It was humbling to see how loyal and committed she was to the old Naya. It felt so surreal to digest the new reality. A wolf less alpha, speaking to someone from her previous life. The weight of this realization settled heavily on my shoulders. I want to show you something, Lee said, her enthusiasm evident. She handed me a photo book. It held numerous Polaroids of us all from the old life. I've been gathering as much information as I can since Jace told me about Ocean. I was on the first flight out and I've never gone back. My gaze landed on Onyx, who looked slightly uncomfortable but nonetheless attuned to Lee's every move. His supportive presence was clear, despite his discomfort with the situation. I apologize if I seem rude, but is it okay if we talk about how we can get my wolf back? I put the photo book down, ignoring the daggers that Macy was shooting at Lee, and carried on with my concerns. I've been told you were trying to figure out the Darkling's power. Do you know how he managed to break the supernatural bond? When you and Ocean confronted him in your last life, we weren't there. However, you said that both of you managed to fight him but never went into details. Well, that's great, isn't it? I mentally scoffed, schooling my features to not appear irritated. However, I've been able to gather the fact that his father was a warlock. Hybrids aren't blessed by the spirits, but he has control over air, hence blessed by the spirit of the air. So his mother must have something to do with immortality and the air spurt for him to possess these powers he has. I don't think HES above feeling pain. I managed to break his fingers and I remember him squealing in pain. He used the other hand to fucking torture me when finally caught up to me. He can't win hand-to-hand combat. Kin drops aisle and setched across the room. It was the first time ever I openly described my attack. Ocean seemed murderous. Lee and Macy were about to cry and Joshua looked green. I guess Lee didn't have that information because she pulled out another black small notebook and wrote something down. We need to find his weakness. It was Aaron who spoke. He looked haggard as well. He was in charge of the pack now. I didn't want to take Ocean away from his duties, but he remained adamant about not letting me out of his sight. Do you have any memory from your first life? Lee asked, flipping through her notes. I looked at Ocean for reassurance, to which he nodded discreetly. I was sitting on the sofa adjacent to mine, whereas Lee and her mate sat opposite me and Macy across the table. No, why? You told me that he was after us because we killed his beloved in the beginning because they were hybrids. That's why HES torturing until the end of time. How did you find that out? Ocean questioned this time. I had the misconception of thinking Ocean knew everything, but it looked like he didn't. It was a woman named Alina. She knew you from a couple of lives before. She was looking for you guys for a long time. She was Vi, therefore immortal due to the blessings from the air spirit. She said she knew a ritual to break the curse, but you three went into woods and only the two of you came back. You never spoke of that night again. We literally have no idea what happened that night. She paused, looking restless. Do you have any memories at all? I looked at Ocean, wondering why we decided to keep such a crucial part a secret. If one of had told someone, we might have the answer to the question and would be much closer to defeating the Darkling. I can see why you're disappointed, but I think have something else to tell you. Pages made a rattling noise as she flipped through her notebook again. No one knew how he always found you guys. That I was in Eastern couple of years ago, trying to find a witch for more talisman, which I have. She paused to dig her hand into her big, carefully retrieve a big handcrafted wooden box. Carefully, she sat it down on the table. I brought you half of what we could gather, but anyways, I found a witch coven hidden amongst human. Their ancestors were massacred and so rents because a very powerful being sold them out to the humans. But she seemed excited, reciting an awful tragedy. They didn't know why, but they knew that their ancestors came from the northern hemisphere, migrated during the Tiscan massacre. It was the birthplace for all supernatural, but they never connected the dots with Thorrent's witch hunt to the Tiscan massacre. What I think happened was that Alina already told us that witches used all their powers to lure the hybrids in order to kill them, but the Darkling survived. I don't know how, neither does anyone else I have spoken to, but he was behind the Tiscan massacre. He provoked the humans to rebel against us, and once that started, it spread throughout the whole globe, and now they made up their own human origin that I don't want to go into. But it was the Darkling who was both massacre. So when the witches realized that, they agreed to help. So they contacted the spirits with ancient enchantment that were forbidden to their coven, and the Darkling caught up to them. We all had to flee, and thankfully no one was hurt because of the talismans, but that's how the Darkling knows where you two are and the witches are. You to have the strongest connection with this. They keep bringing you back for a reason, and the witches because they are the bridge to the spirit world. I think the Darkling can feel the presence of the spirits, and the spirits are always close whenever you guys get a memory. I think that's how he hunts you guys down, via the presence of the spirit. The Darkling wants them dead because they helped you to kill his beloved. It made perfect sense, no matter how ridiculous it sounded. It was the only explanation that chronologically supported. Her obsession was unhealthy and it frightened me. However, Ocean found it perfectly acceptable. We all had lunch together. They were staying at the barracks, something I heard they had done before. I noticed that Ocean asked frequent questions about the well-being of the Red Mount Pack. The two packs had close relationships which all the other packs across the globe were oblivious to. The Northern was where it started. The Darkling chased us across the globe and back to where it all began, and where it all shall end. I bid goodbyes to everyone, but Macy and Josh lingered around. Aaron took the couple to the quarters and would be back to pick them up. They helped Ocean clean up, not allowing me to do one single chore. I tucked myself under the blanket we constantly use now in the lounge. It smelled of fabric softener. I couldn't pick up any other smell, and it broke my heart. That lady was kind of crazy, huh? Macy came and sat in front of me, handing me a glass of orange juice and medicine. I took it without thinking much of it. I'm sorry this whole thing made you fight with Aaron. I complained every night to him about what Anne. She mouthed her words instead of saying it out loud. Asshole, she used her voice again. But he didn't have the audacity to even tell me the truth. Ocean is apologetic that he may hide information from another, but don't expect him to verbalize it, but he didn't mean to. We knew Ocean could hear us, so we both laughed softly. Macy was speaking to Ocean or Aaron at all. She spoke loud enough for them to hear, but not to them. I remember when we stopped by the quarters on the way back from the hospital. Macy was there with her and driving the car. Ocean showed me all the surveillance pictures of me from the past 3 years. Macy was in a lot of them. Not only did she freak out, but threw a couple of them at Aaron. Deep down I knew she wanted Ocean to be end of her wrath, but he was an alpha. No way would she disrespect him like that again. He had a picture of me on his desk at his office from 3 years ago. That's when I realized he truly loved me and tried everything in his power to protect me, but sometimes the truth can stop unfortunate events from occurring. Deep down, I wished he told me that they weren't hallucinations and I wouldn't have made the crazy decision to leave. How are you feeling? Same as before. I can't keep my eyes open. I rubbed my eyes, trying to wake them up. She looked me with sad eyes. How was your date? She beamed, trying to hide the tears glistening under the soft light. It was nice. I paused, not wanting to upset her. I missed running along the edges as a wolf, though. We did that. After me and Macy were shot at, Aaron and Ocean took us out there. It was glorious. Me and Macy ran around the ground for hours. Not much later, Aaron appeared to take Macy and Joshua home. It was still beautifully bright outside. A soft yellow gradient tint washed across every surface of the forest. I hugged Macy goodbye, and for some reason it felt like the last time. I was getting weaker by the minute. I hugged Josh tightly, grateful that HES fully recovered. Next time, try not to lure crazy people away. If I had a baby brother, I'd want it to be Josh. Yes, he was broken, but he had a good heart. All he needed was a little guidance and HED grow up, be an intelligent man. Thank you for saving my life. The sincerity in his voice surprised Aaron and Ocean, whereas Macy and I were used to it. If I knew he was after me, I would have served you to him on a silver platter. I joked, trying to lighten the mood. No, you wouldn't. Too much of an alpha. He was right. No way I would let anything happen to my friends or family. I know. You be good and listen to your elders. He finally got into the back seat of the SUV. Thank you for not dying. He called back once the car drove away, wobbling along the dirt road. I laughed at his edge and closed his eyes to compose himself. HES kidding. His humor is a bit on the dark side, but HES harmless. Forget it. I took him by her arm and dragged him inside using all my strength. How do you even understand him? He seemed exasperated. Simple. He uses humor to cope with his pain, whereas you act all moody. He squinted, not liking the notion of the similarities between them. He won't shoot anything who's not shooting at him. HES not a psychopath. I rolled my eyes, my nerves getting tested by his distrustfulness. Ocean should be more understanding towards him, because they both lost their parents in some way or another. Who knew what the poor kid saw when he was wandering around the forest, alone and scared? I reached for the blanket to start folding it when Ocean immediately stopped me. I'll do it. I can do this, Ocean. Stop babying, for God's sake. I snapped finally. My hands shook in anger, or maybe fatigue. Rubbing my forehead in annoyance, I dropped it on the floor. He stood there with a grim look on his face. I'm sorry. It's not your fault. I should have told you from the beginning. I should have come for you the minute I found out. I tried to walk away. Well, you didn't. How is that my fault? He gently grabbed both of my arms to pull me into him. It's not, damn it. He looked tormented. His black eyes bored into mine. His forehead creased, making prominent lines stretch across his forehead, struggling against his hold. I tried to break free. Stop. Let me apologize. I don't need your apology. Let me go. I beat my fists against his chest. Tears streamed down my face without any warning. My heart hurt and I didn't know what set it off. All I wanted to do was go back to before the annual gala. I wanted my wolf back. I wanted to belong with a pack. I had been alone for so long without any official ties. The loneliness was eating at me. Do you know how lonely I feel? I haven't mentally communicated with anyone for so long that the silence is suffocating me. My breath hitched and beat my fists against his chest, thumping softly. I was sobbing uncontrollably when my knees gave out. He held me tightly against his chest, apologizing with every breath. I just need some peace. The contestant take to stop and the headache to go away. Sucking in a loud breath, I pleaded, please, make it stop. My body shook with each cry. The buzzing noise in my ear got louder, pounding against my brain. I tried so hard to hold it in, but I just couldn't anymore. He rocked me back and forth, stroking my hair. My body convulsed involuntarily. Hands covered my face, hiding the tear-stained face away from him. I felt fine a few seconds ago, and now I was hurting my mate. I leaned into him, giving into reality, surrendering to him finally. I'm so angry at you. My sobs started to subside. Me too. He took a deep breath before letting it go. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to lose it like that. It's so embarrassing. He didn't let me up. I was sat sideways across his lap, my thighs draped over his. Embarrassing. I've been wondering every day how you always kept so calm. He picked me up and took me to room. It was maroon, same shade as mine from back home. My eyes bugged out the first time I saw it. A picture of us from previous life, a mounted bedside table with another one of him with his family before they died. I remembered when I walked in a couple of days after I got out of the clinic. He told me that my room from previous life held the exact same color. It made him feel close to me even though I was continents away from him. Thank you for taking me out today. He tucked me in his cold bed before he walked over to the windows to close the blinds, shutting away the warmth. I shuddered, wondering why my body couldn't get warm. A stray coughed through my vocal cord. You've looked like you needed some fresh air. Also, our first date is long overdue. He sat down next to me and started playing with my hair once again. I was used to such affection, and he seemed natural at it. You remember a lot more of our past relationship, don't you? Yes, why? His answer corroborated my theory. At first you didn't want anything to do with me, and now you're caring. I always cared, but he never showed any before I nearly died. No, I mean all romantic and not too intense. We've lived so many lives that I remember you in so many ways. It's natural for me to care for you. It was actually unnatural to ignore you. I wished that I still received those memories. They spoke of the memories as a gift from the spirits and that they were always close whenever we received one. I wanted to contact a witch about my situation. Ask if there's any possible way to contact the earth spirit, but the darkling would feel the shift in power. How no one knew. His powers were a mystery, and I wanted to stick a knife in his jugular artery and watch him bleed out slowly. Tell me one of them. I leaned into him. We used to rule as Wyut. What? As Wyut was one of the richest ancient cities on Earth. There were many supernatural creatures who ruled certain parts of the southern hemisphere back then. Horus, Ra, and any more. Anubis and any Awerme and you. Whenever we were born in a different country, we have similar sounding names but always the same faith. Our personality varied from time to time, but we were always. Coughing fits attacked my throat again. I didn't want to interrupt him. It was the most I've ever heard from him, and his gravelly voice was soon. I was on the verge of falling asleep when something tickled my vocal cord. Dry simultaneous coughs forced me to sit up. Ocean and immediately handed me a tissue and waited grimly for it to subside. My chest constricted like something was being torn from inside. What sticky substance filled mouth, and when I pulled the tissue away, red stains splattered across the scrunched white surface. Ocean looked absolutely shattered. That was one thing I didn't expect to spew out of my mouth. Blood. 12 darkness may as P. Ocean didn't waste a second before jumping into action. Within less than 20 minutes, I was being admitted to the clinic again. Their equipment was modern but not fitted to treat a human. Sadness consumed my heart. Adie had a green shawl around her pajamas when she greeted me at the door of the clinic. I felt guilty for waking her up, but I didn't have much energy to apologize to her, especially with the mask around my mouth and nose. Blood spurted out every now and then. An IV bag was attached to the needle that was poking out of my arm. Everything around me seemed to move slower than its usual pace. Bright lights and noise amplified the pounding in my head, and all I wanted was Ocean. I wanted to apologize to him. I tried to move but failed miserably. The Darkling was trying to punish Ocean by killing me. He wanted him to suffer like he was for centuries without his mate. I could understand why. I would want the revenge for my mate's death but not like him. He was a psychopath with powers, just like all the other hybrids that were killed in the 1st century. Ocean needed to figure it out in this life why he didn't die. What made him immortal? Fi would live for a lifetime, but I didn't see any wings on my attacker. My mother labeled him as a delusional psychopath who found pleasure in torture. That's what hybrids were. They felt no emotions or sympathy towards anyone. Hence his love for whoever this girl was. Didn't make sense. Granted, she was a hybrid and they might have had many things in common, but were they really capable of love? I patiently waited for him to stop arguing with Ada and enter my room. I could see them through the foggy haze but wasn't able to hear them. Tears slid down my temples, leaving wet trails. I couldn't hold on for much longer and I knew it was time. I used all the strength I could muster to make any form of commotion to get their attention. I pulled at the wires that were attached to my heart monitor, and when a beeping noise became a constant, but they both ran into the room with fear in their eyes. I swallowed dry air and it creeped down my throat. Ada physically sagged against the wall in relief, whereas Ocean tried to hastily reattach them to my chest. My weak hand wrapped around his wrist, willing him to stop to look at me. His bottom jaw twitched. Eyes roamed around relentlessly. I struggled to take the mask off my face so I could speak to him without a barrier. I need you to listen to me. It hurt to breathe without the oxygen mask. You need to figure out a way to. He put the mask back on when I struggled to suck in any air. Instead, he came closer, resting his hand next to mine. I'm right here. I'm not going anywhere. He sounded devastated, but I had to get through to him. Listen, I need you to figure out his weakness. I coughed when my throat itched. In this life, don't worry, they'll figure everything out. You just think about getting better, okay? Tears streamed down the sides of my face while a sad smile touched my lips. He knew deep down what was happening to me, but wasn't willing to accept it. He was in denial. We've been concentrating in the darkling. I think it's time to figure out who the girl was. The girl was his mate. Mates were given to us after the war began. The war between humans and supernatural. Puzzled, looked at me. Find out who she is, so we can be together in the next life. I inhaled loudly every time I had to pause. No, you're going to be fine. I've lost you too many times. I can't go through it again. He looked like he was on the verge of a breakdown. His body quivered, eyes glistening under the bright lights, and the hands that wrapped around mine shook vigorously. I tried to touch his face with my other hand, but the wires were blocking my way. I didn't want to die, but I knew there was no way for me to recover from this. Listen, we'll see each other soon, okay? I smiled, trying to comfort him. I lifted out intertwined hands and brought it close to my cheek. His touch soothed me, and I found comfort in his heat. You can't die, Naya. It should be me. His lips quivered, vibrating his baritone voice when he spoke. Promise me you'll come for me. Promise me that. My eyes drooped no matter how hard I tried to keep them open. Darkness appeared at the corners of my eyes, closing in on the center. I promise. It'll be better. Please don't give yet. Just hold on for a bit longer. I'm begging you. Alphas didn't beg, not even for their own life. A sob left my lips. I wished we had more time. I wished we didn't waste all those weeks avoiding each other. Listen, don't lose yourself. They'll be there. Wait. I gulped, finally moving the mask away. Take care of yourself. You're Ian. Alpha. Please check up on my carrots now and then. No, he didn't want to hear it. My sweet broken mate. Macy. Shelmy, Darren. And Josh. Give the kids some guidance. Tell everyone. I'm sorry. It hit me hard, making my mouth sting, but I didn't care. I opened up to him, trying to absorb as much essence of him I could. I tried to roll towards him, but I couldn't feel anything. Fear scratched its claws down my spine. I broke apart abruptly. Ocean. I can't feel my legs. Terror retched across his face. He shouted for Ada with his scarred voice, hands reaching for my legs. My tired eyes acknowledged his hands on them, but I physically felt nothing. Hysteria bubbled up from deep within me. Ocean. Ocean. I sobbed. Ada started checking on my legs, but I didn't notice it at all. Ocean. I'm so scared. I No, baby. I know. Just breathe. He put my mask back, no, wiping away my tears. Time sped up and everything was moving in a very fast pace. The darkness started to close in. I just didn't have the energy to fight it anymore. Holding on to his hand, I pulled him closer, even though he was ordered the staff to make it stop. Stop death from claiming me. It was his fault, though. Death was our destiny, and it was time to break the curse. My eyes remained glued to him when my final breath wheezed out into the oxygen mask. Darkness consumed me. 12.5 oceans P. OV. Loud, annoying buzz replaced the beeping noise that kept monitor heartbeats. The monitor with zigzag line was now flat. Blood soared into my ear as the commotion around me intensified. I saw black spots everywhere, swaying dizzily on my feet. Numbness consumed me when the head nurse pushed me back, making me let go of her delicate hands. I wanted to die. I hadn't left her sight once since she lost her wolf. I couldn't feel her presence anymore, and the only confirmation of her well-being that satisfied me was visual validation. But my eyes were playing tricks. ADA used the defibrillator to jumpstart her heart but failed. The iciness of her skin lingered in my warm hands. I needed to. I didn't know what to do. Her parents rushed in. Her mother's wails bounced against white walls. I found myself at the main door when Macy and Aaron rushed in. They said something to me, but all I heard was white noise. Was she hearing this white noise constantly? No wonder she broke down in tears. She was such a strong person. A rightful alpha and a perfect mate, and I ruined it all. I saw Josh waving his hands around in front of my face. Tried to shake me, but I didn't understand why. AJ and Levi were there looking grim. The word dissociative state was being passed around my head. Why was everyone crying? I walked further into the woods and carried on walking. It was a new moon, cloaking everything with darkness. A couple of my elite team followed me, wondering what I was doing. I didn't know what I was doing. Naya. Home. I knew. She usually waited up for me, but sometimes I was deliberately late. My reason for keeping her in the dark seemed ridiculous. No one could handle a situation better than her. All posed and elegant. My heart throbbed in pain. I needed to home to Naya. Maybe she cooked for me again, and this time around I wouldn't have to eat it alone because she fell asleep on the sofa, waiting for me. After the first time, we had dinner together. She tried so hard for us to connect. Maybe she can run her fingers through my hair again and lulled me to the best sleep ever since my parents died. I should introduce her to my parents. They would love her. When she saw the picture of them for the first time, she commented on the similarities between me and my father. That my father was a loving, caring man who shared everything with his mate. He was a funny and loyal. I was neither of those. I became cold and distant after they were murdered. I still remember their blood in my hands. They just wouldn't stop bleeding. I didn't notice the sniper up on a tree. I only felt the bullet that scratched my throat, searing my vocal cords on its way. Only problem was that bullet went through Avian's heart first before it touched me. Lion killed the sniper instantly, but the damage was already done. That's when we decided to rely on guns and not our abilities. I was the reason why Adia's son died. Was able to protect my wonderful parents who died holding each other. And my mate. I gulped. The house in front of me was pitch black. Usually when I got home, the soft light of the lamps from the living room would welcome me. I wanted to hear about her day instead of finding it out from other people. I stalked my mate even when she was under my roof. But it was black. Why would it be like that? Josh walked out of the front door, tears streaming down his face. His loud sobs filled the quiet night. He wiped his eyes with the back of his hand before following the direction I came from. She was in the house. She was back at the clinic. Dead. I dropped on the ground. Pebbles and sticks bit into my knees. When numbness and the noise subsided, the silence attacked me. The pain squeezed my throat, cutting away my air supply. She couldn't be dead. I had so much more to tell her. So much more to know about her. My stomach clenched, urging me to puke, but nothing came out. I threw head back and roared, angry at whoever was allowing this to happen to us. I clawed at my chest and drew blood, trying to stalk the ache. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't think. I didn't want to live. My mate was dead. I'll cut through the moon. A wolf crying out in pain. A night so bright. Stars in line. An alpha who lost his mate. Spirits in disarray. Balance beginning to tip. Good versus evil. Only one prevail. Nature began to weep. A century's fatre created them. Only they can restore the peace. A crime committed by darkness. Only light can banish its yield. A light they carried, so pure and true. A love that could allure. But how can they win, when one is dead and they are? No more war. Only he, who shall fight the darkness and death. Whoever they shall be. For his mate and for his right. Will he win against all odds, or will he lose his soul? The one that is bound to her, that's knocking on death's door. A hell scratched across the stars. A wolf begging for another chance. A night full of wishes and spirits. An alpha ready to battle with fate. 13 past Naya's P. OV Redmount 1990. Move or ill put soap in your eyes. I warned, as ocean continued to block every step of mine. You're the one who's in my way. You move. He commanded with a hint of amusement in his voice. I stepped to my left to find him step to his right, blocking my path again. We'd been playing this stupid shuffle game much too long for my liking, and I needed to get class. The corridors were quickly emptying, everyone eager to get to their lessons, leaving Ocean to torment me a little more. Having enough of his annoying games, I stopped abruptly, bringing my feet together and placing my palm on his tight torso. His skin shivered under my touch, satisfied with his reaction. I finally craned my neck upwards to face the devil that had been making my life a living hell for as long as I could remember. My breath hitched when my eyes landed on his hooded ones, framed perfectly with dark lashes. One thing I never understood about this boy was the color of his eyes. Usually, to everyone they were pitch black, but due to the fact I've had numerous close counters with him, I've realized that they sometimes emitted an AV, blue hue right around the pupils. His midnight black hair trimmed in an army cut provided him with an edge to his usual quirky attitude. His chiseled jawline, beautifully accompanied with full luscious lips, were tasty to bite. Trust me, I would know. What do you want? I questioned, slapping an irritated expression on my face. The sincerity in his eyes almost made me believe that he was telling the truth, but the annoying smirk that was plastered on his face made me believe otherwise. If you don't move, it will cripple you. I threatened, making him bring his arms up to cover his chest. Why would you want to violate mine when I always take good care of why? I slapped my hand over his face before the word left his mouth. I was sure if any werewolf heard this conversation and told the alpha, hell forget Ocean was his son. What is 1RG with you? I hissed at him, looking around to see if anyone was listening. Imperfectly fine. Thank you very much. You're the one who ran away from an asylum. He removed my hand from his mouth and kept a firm grip around my wrist. Well, at least him not from a zoo ape. I tugged on my hand to set myself free from his grasp, only to make him tighten his hold on me. Wolf. Baby girl wolf. He corrected me. You know what? Whatever. I don't care. I need to get to class. I rolled my eyes, still tugging my hand, trying to get it free. Instead, he grabbed both of my wrists and slammed my body against his chest, holding me tight in position. But I need to talk to you. His voice deepened. That I don't want to. Although my heart was running a mile in a minute, I tried my best to keep a straight face. Possibly bored. I can just throw you on my shoulders and carry you out of here. He warned. I can kick you in your balls. I narrowed my eyes. But you like my BA, Ocean. I screeched, widening my eyes at his words. LLS, and it will only be your pleasurable loss. He smirked. I hate you, I hissed, venomous lie, emphasizing each word. I know, but I don't care. My confession made fire blaze in his eyes. ARGH. Fine, but not now. I threw a tantrum, throwing my head back in defeat while stomping my feet. He still didn't move an inch from my outburst. probably because he was so used to it by now. Keeping a straight face, and he lowered his face towards mine. I moved back as far away as possible, scared that someone might see us. "What are you doing?" I gritted my teeth, trying to make him realize we were in public. However, he looked like he was a man on a mission, letting go of one of my wrists, and he quickly cupped the back of my head. His hand fisted around my long straight black hair and held my head in place to give him better access. I honestly didn't know what had gotten into him lately, but he didn't seem to care where we was around. He just did whatever he wanted to. His juicy, plump lips pecked mine once so softly. I didn't even realize when he did it at first, if it was for the growling electric shocks that coursed through my body. I wouldn't have noticed the light feather kiss he left on my mouth. It made me long for more. "Keep your window open," he whispered, brushing each word against my lips with his. Suddenly his grip on my wrist loosened and I yanked myself away from him, even though I didn't want to buy then. "You're going to be the death of me, Ocean. For fuck's sake." I massaged my wrist while I shoved past him. Annoyed, I picked up my pace, not wanting him to see the weakening effect he still had on me. I was nearly at the end of the corridor, ready to make a right turn, when I heard him whisper under his breath, "Trust me, you already are." My head turned so quickly that I was lucky I didn't get a whiplash. His tall figure stood at the exact same place that I left him, with his legs merely parted. Arms swung slightly away from his body, but that's not what made my heart shattered in a million pieces. It was the broken expression that was painted across his exotic face. It made him look so weak and vulnerable, urging me run towards him and engulf him in a comforting embrace and take his pain away. But it wasn't my job to do that anymore. In 3 days he'll find his mate, and he wouldn't even look at me anymore. The last thought plunged my heart, gave me the strength to turn around and walk away from this boy who'd been nothing but faithful to me since we were 16, when I decided to give my body and love to him, which in our world was forbidden. Using my heightened speed, I got out of there without turning back. Apologizing to my English teacher for being late, I took my usual seat next to our beta's son, Ocean's confidant. He sent me a small smile acknowledging my presence before going back to reading his book. Jace was the quiet one in our group, and it always amused me how he even chose to be friend the obnoxious loud mouth of a baboon called Ocean. Ocean. Everyone, including him, knew how much I hated him, but honestly, I hated how much I loved him. Yes, loved. As a supernatural being. We were taught to not love anyone but our mate. Not only because when a mate appeared in the picture, one was bound to get left behind with a broken heart. Mates were a gift from the spirits. We weren't allowed to disrespect the system due to what happened centuries ago. Although it is highly unlikely for him to find his mate exactly on his 18th birthday, but he'll be able to attend annual camp for young werewolves held at different packs from all over the world and recognize his mate if she was around. All the times we secretly spent together and all the memories we made were going to matter when found his true mate. Instead of feeling sorry for myself, I took pride in being the future alpha's first ever. The saddest thing was that he wouldn't care after he met his mate, and did have to go through the pain of watching them together until I met mine. Fuck. I should have never gotten involved with the future alpha. Naya. Snap Naya. I found a petty figure with pink nails in front of my face, clicking its middle finger and thumb together. "If you ever snap your fingers at me again, it'll snap your fingers." Narrowing my eyebrows, I threatened the blonde of the group. "Sorry." She rolled her eyes and walked out of the half-empty class. "Lot on your mind?" Jace asked, simultaneously getting up from his seat. "Yeah," I replied vaguely. One thing I liked about him was that he wasn't much of a talker, which instantly made him a good listener and observer. 13.5 avoidance NASP. OV Red Mount 1990. "You know Ocean's been looking for you like a headless chicken." Jace chuckled, making me nearly choke on air. "Yeah, he caught me all right." I rolled my eyes while we walked out of the class. "Why have you been avoiding him lately?" His question startled me for a second. I wasn't. "Just been busy." I lied. "Plus, he's annoying and I don't like him." I quickly added, making him smile. To my relief, he didn't interrogate any further until we reached the cafeteria for lunch, when Jay stopped in his tracks, blocking me. Just hear him out, okay? He threw a statement towards me before picking up the pace to join the others. I made my way to greet everyone before I took my place opposite Lee, before digging into my homemade pasta. I wish him his mate. A familiar, annoying voice reached my ears, and it made me want to rip her throat out to the fact I knew exactly who she was talking about. Talking about red but baboons. Where is the future alpha? I questioned with an amused voice. That ape never misses his lunch. I actually don't know. He wasn't there for last period. Isaiah, the pack doctor's son informed, making my heart stop for a second. Just as I was about to take it up to go look for him, the cafeteria doors opened, sending a very familiar musky scent around the room. Speak of the devil and he shall appear. I mumbled under my breath and everyone chuckled, knowing our mutual hatred. His eyes still haunted me from the last time we made love. He made me feel like each time was my first time. Sometimes, he stared at me with so much intensity that I could physically feel his emotions. Which, I definitely was supposed to, because only mates were capable of doing that. However, those weren't the only times I felt his emotion or he felt mine. What if Naya was your mate? What? I shrieked out in confusion, before processing exactly what Isaiah said. Chill. I said, what if? He put his hand up in surrender position before I ripped his head off. Why is it that to be my mate? Ocean's voice reached my ears. Slowly turning my head to meet his amused and somewhat saddened eyes, I answered with a smirk. Mates are for wolves, not baboons. Oh, please. I feel sorry for anyone who'd be your mate. He tilted his head slightly, taking a large bite from his hamburger, keeping his gaze locked with mine. How can someone eating turn you on? Really? And why is that? I challenged him, putting a hand my hip, nearly elbowing Eben during the process, who was sitting next to me. Because you're restless and you never listen. You're mouthy and the list goes on. He smirked, wiping his mouth with the back of his hand. Before I could retaliate, the annoying minion spoke up and totally not like that. No thanks. He disgustedly dismissed her before turning towards me again. One thing I always respected about him is that he never humiliated me like that in front of a crowd. Yes, we always had our usual argument and teased the life out of each other, but never with any malice. Sometimes our arguments turned into heavy make-out sessions later on. So what are you doing for your birthday? Lee asked. Nothing, he answered, looking down at his empty tray. And why? They're the only two words that were being thrown towards him. Because I don't want to. He picked up his tray and made his way out of the cafeteria. Murmurs started to arise from the group, while all I wanted to do was make an excuse and go check up on him. But I held my own, knowing I didn't have to do that anymore because someone else was going to be doing that very soon. School flew by quickly, and soon it was time for all of us to meet at the front parking lot so we all could go home together. Unless we had detention, we all end up getting into different cars to drive to the pack house before heading home separately. As I got out of our Castle D-style school, I looked towards my car in line with the others and got my keys out, ready to open the door when I reached it. Taking a quick scan around the parking lot, I noticed that only Ocean was missing because his car remained in the same place where he had parked it in the morning. Where's Ocean? Someone asked from the back. Who cares? I immediately responded while reversing the car to get out of the parking zone. Why do you hate him so much? Lee's twin asked from behind me. How can you not? Yes, so annoying. And his head is so far up his okay. He stretched out the end of the word, letting me know I was getting too carried away. Nah, for real though. Why, he asked again. I don't know. I've grown up knowing I disliked him. I don't remember exactly why I dislike him. I looked in the rearview mirror to take a peek at Leo shaking his head at me. So you hate him? 'Cause you just do. He asked again after sobering up. Yeah, I don't know it. Ask mine or his parents. I suggested, wishing they'd know why we dislike each other so much. I don't understand, why are you so close with the alphas and betas? What is it that you parents do again? Blondie asked when I shifted gear, turning the corner and headed down the road towards home. First of all, why are you in my car? And second of all, they deal with the human businesses, like the estate agency we have. is owned by my parents, Alpha Philip and Beta Ezekiel, where most of the werewolves work. And that's where you get the money from to buy all that makeup to keep your ugly face presentable to the world. I replied with sarcasm dripping from voice. Cindy, didn't you try to have sex with Dylan and he turned you down? Leo questioned her, making us all gasp in shock. I tried to keep my eyes on the road while Lee, who was sat next to me in the passenger seat, turned around to face her brother, who was snickered under his breath. I decided to zone out their conversation because honestly it didn't concern me, and I knew she also hit on Ocean, but he turned her down. He made a little remark about how he couldn't imagine himself with anyone but me. Little memories like that never failed to bring a smile to my face, but soon it'd be losing him. It'd also be losing my first love. After dropping everyone at the pack house, I headed towards my oversized empty house. My parents were always away for business, allowing me and Ocean to spend a lot of time alone together. I was surprised of how my parents never caught his scent in my room. I mean, his scent was everywhere and it was nearly impossible to get rid of it now. I left the window open like he asked, but honestly I didn't want to talk to him. I just didn't have the energy to fight the feeling I had for him anymore. As his birthday approached, it got just a little bit harder to breathe around him, to look at him and not wish to be with him forever. After showering and cleaning up, I decided to make something myself and Ocean to eat, but he was nowhere to be seen when the clock ticked. That was his usual time when he jumped through my window, nearly every night until the dawn of next day. I honestly didn't know how people hadn't picked up on our secret. It'd been almost 2 years. I also don't think it'd be a shining medal to his reputation if people found out he had already been with another she-wolf before his mate. After finishing my food, I left the extra on the table just in case he came, but when the clock ticked 11, I knew he wasn't going to come. Why would he? After the last time we were together, I told him to get out in the middle of us making out. I couldn't handle his confession. So why would he want to come back here again? Just when all my hopes were gone and my eyes were getting heavy from tired and hopelessness. My dark-framed wooden door burst open. I jerked up straight on my bed with a hand over my petrified heart that was trying to claw its way out of my chest. Ocean rested one hand against the door frame while the other was clenched by his sides. His head was facing the ground while his bare chest glistened of sweat, trickling down his tan skin. His khaki shorts and bare feet covered in mud told me he'd been running wildly through the forest. He looked intimidating yet somewhat venerable, making my anxiety reach its maximum level. Slowly, he closed the door behind him, still keeping his gaze fixated towards the ground before looking up with murderous eyes and said, "We need to talk." My back was against the burgundy wall with metallic silver filigree. Ocean's warm body was hunched forward and his murderous face was the same level as mine. His eyes were fixated on my lips, palms resting on the wall behind me, caging me in between his forearms. To say that I was scared would have been an understatement. I was mortified. I've known him since I was born, and I knew him better than anyone else in the world. I had seen all different bipolar personality and cried on my shoulder when his brother was killed by hunters. It memorized the different contours of his face when we were wrapped around one another, our limbs tangled together under the sheets. It seemed the different hues of his eyes that he didn't even know existed. But this side was new to me, and I didn't know how to handle it. His ragged, warm breath fell over my face. I slowly tilted my head back to let it rest against the cool wall. I unconsciously inhaled his natural scent that was mixed with the aromity soil he picked up during run. When I was about to open my eyes, his lips connected with my right cheek and lingered there for a while before grazing his lips across my face towards my left cheek. "Are you scared of me, Naya?" he asked, trying to restrain his hoarse voice. Before I could realize what I was doing, I shook my head side to side, letting him know that I wasn't. "Then why are you crying? You shouldn't cry. I don't like to see you cry." He spoke again, grazing his lips across every inch of my face. I didn't even know that I was crying, but all I could feel was my heart attacking my chest, trying to break out of its rib cage. However, scared and confused weren't the only feelings I felt at that moment. There was a light sheen of guilt and pain laced across the surface of my heart. When I realized it was mine, my eyes shot open in realization that they weren't my feelings. They were his emotions, reflecting through me. 14 Sorry Naya's P. OV Red Mount 1990. I know you can feel my emotions, just like I can feel yours. I felt him smile against my lips before he texted softly why. That's not supposed to happen yet. I stated, trying to hide the quiver in my voice. Because you're mine. And I'm yours. He moved his head back to look me in the eyes. He looked confident. You know only our mates can fuck with our brains and drive us crazy. He brought one of his hands down to my waist and the other one settled on my cheek. I can resist every single temptation on earth except you. He stepped closer and pressed his glistening skin against my body. The pressure made me feel like I was wearing the little beige silk nightgown that I knew drove him crazy. Tell me you don't feel what I feel every time I make love to you. Tell me you don't feel when I'm in pain. His grip on my waist tightened. Forehead rested on mine. Ocean. I choked out his name, not knowing what to say. You. We need to stop this because I might not, then I don't care. He spoke through gritted teeth before pressing his body violently against mine. I don't care who my mate would be. It'll still come to you. Just like you will come to me. His position remained the same as before. Even when you find your fucking mate, it'll take you away from him. And he'll make love to you like it's your first time all over again. And it'll make you forget about his name. Each time he paused, he planted soft feather kisses on my lips. Ocean. You know, in the history of werewolves, a mate has never cheated on their mate. You will for G, don't. His whisper infused with a shout. Involuntary made me close my eyes. Don't you dare say that. You're my first everything. And I promise to make you my last everything. Just run away with me, Naya. Then what if you find your mate there? I asked with a cold voice. He'll never leave you. He was still prepping open-mouthed kisses on my lips as I spoke. Ocean. I warned. Run away with me, Naya. He offered again, grazing his thumb across my bottom lip before pulling it gently with his teeth. Ocean. You're the future alpha. You have responsibilities. I stated, causing him to chuckle. You're such a female alpha. He smiled against my neck before kissing the spot where my mark should be. Ocean. You're gonna end up hurting your mate. I stated. I don't care. All I care about is you. He brought his head back up to look into my eyes once again. My heart swelled up when the silver moonlight escaped through my windows, settling itself on the right side of his face, highlighting the navy hue around his pupils. What about my mate? I asked, causing his face to solidify. His grip on my waist tightened painfully. They'll kill him. His simple answer made my heart drop out of my chest and I struggled against his grip. No other man is fucking touching you. Get the fuck off me. I screamed, knowing if anyone heard Thale will come charging in with their K9 and claws out. My blood was boiling and everything around me started to revolve in anger. So you're mine. Only mine. His grip on my body tightened and his lips came crashing down on mine. I hate you. I shoved his chest with my palms as hard as I could, but he didn't even move a muscle. How dare you say that about my mate or yours? How would I feel if I found out that my mate was talking like this to another girl about me, and that he was planning on cheating on me behind my back? I kept pushing him away until he was finally off me and out of my personal space. Fine. I'll go, but I'll be back tomorrow night. To make you mine. He kissed me passionately one last time before jumping out my window and making his way to God knows where. You okay? Lee asked when she got into the passenger seat of my car. I need a friend. Can we just leave everyone? I asked, trying my hardest to compose myself, but when I heard her voice laced with genuine concern, I cowed and hold it in any longer. Oh God, Naya, of course. Swap seats, I'll drive. She ordered before getting out of the car and telling everyone to find another ride. Meantime, I climbed over the console, making myself comfortable in the passenger seat. Lee didn't say anything throughout the ride and I knew she was driving towards school but backwards towards town center of Red Mount. I watched the pine trees morph into tall buildings as we entered the city. The colorful billboards advertising numerous types of products, but what attracted me most was the art and the people who painted it. I guess if I did run away with Ocean, we could work at a human company and live a simple life, but all of that was a pipe dream. However, I cowed and stopped contemplating what if that's what I was doing. I didn't exactly know where we were headed, but we soon passed town and towards a small private beach that we'd been to before. Lazily getting out of the car, I sat down on one of the flat boulders, leaving some space for Lee to join me. What did he do now? She asked, putting her arm around my shoulder, trying to comfort me after she made herself comfortable next to me. He told me that he'd kill my mate, and he wants to run away. He doesn't even care about his mate. I put my head on her shoulder. That bastard, she cursed. Naya, what did you get yourself into? She asked with a sympathetic voice. I don't know. I shot up from her hold and stared right hazel eyes. It's him. I can't resist him. It's too hard. Maybe you two are mates. She took my trembling hands in hers in a comforting gesture. But what if we aren't, Lee? Then what? I asked, creating a deafening silence between us, which was overshadowed by the sound of the clear water clashing against the rocks right beneath our feet. You know, this is why we were advised not to be in a relationship before our mates. Because it's not really about sharing your body with the one true person. Your soul mate, but because of the heartache when the other person finds their mate. And leaves you, she explained. Not to mention the century-long rule set by the spirits. I know. But I sighed heavily. HES, something I can't resist. You know, we might pretend that we hate each other, but honestly no one knows me better than him. I explained. I know that, but you two really do an excellent job at making people believe your hatred. When you first told me, I didn't believe it, but when I saw the way he looked at you, I knew it. You weren't delusional. She joked, making me smile along with her. You know, I can feel his emotions. Right. Yeah. I know. I was there with you when he turned. I thought you were going to die. She confessed. You'd have to be mates. It's impossible to feel each other's pains like that. I mean, you two didn't even like each other before you found out that you two can feel each other's pain. I let a blanket of silence soak up before I spoke up. He always does this thing. I paused. Say, I was just doing homework or something ordinary. He would stare at me for a few seconds, and I swear every time he did that, I can feel every single emotion that he feels. At first it used to be nervousness and joy, but gradually it changed to love. And the last time we were together, he told me he loved me. I choked out the love word, making her smile. Honestly, I don't know how that feels or whatever. She looked down and blushed. Moving swiftly past that. Sobering up, she said. It sounds like you two are mates, and destined to be together. However, if we're wrong and if that isn't the case, I want you to come to me. Promise me that, okay? It'll help you get through it. She ordered like she was my older sister, yes. I smiled, but quickly followed by a sigh. See, why can't I be like the normal wolves? Just wait for my stupid mate. But no. I stretched out the O sound sarcastically. That stupid water face had to come and ruin it. I huffed, making Lee laugh. See, that's why I don't understand your relationship. She pointed out, making me think about it. We should head back. Let's get to school now. Well, just take it day by day, she promised. Ocean was in school, and all day I could feel a pang of nervous feeling embedded at the corner of my heart. It washed my feelings. That simple gesture gave me hope to get through the day and face whatever he was planning to do tonight. Lee came back with me to my house to stay with me until 9, trying to take my mind off everything. I was honestly grateful to have a friend like her, but if I needed someone, Ocean was the one who I usually went to without thinking twice. He never failed to comfort me or make me laugh when I down, just like the night before. He was late. I kept telling myself that I was still awake because I couldn't sleep, but honestly I was still waiting up for him. I was so caught up with my thoughts that I didn't notice when he jumped through my window. Startled, I jumped off my bed, staring the silhouette of his ridged figure. He looked nearly bold with his short haircut. I stared at him in confusion. When he moved away from the shadows, allowing the moonlight to illuminate the room. You're mine, Naya. Before I could protest, my back hit my bed roughly. His lips captured mine while his whole body was pressed all his weight down on me. I squirmed under his hold, trying to set myself free, but he wasn't having any of it. Ocean, get off me. I pulled him closer. My actions contradicted my words. Thinking it probably was our last time together, but as soon as the clock hit 12, his whole aura changed. His eyes turned charcoal black. which I presume triggered something within him immediately, and everything became more aggressive and needy for him, intensifying the emotions he felt. The navy hue in his eyes glistened under the moonlight. Overpowering emotions he felt replaced my own, and soon I lost count of how many times I felt my body shatter under his warmth. Every time he looked at me, he whispered mine over and over again, until the darkness of the sky began to fade. "I'm sorry, baby girl." He kissed my forehead. Gathering me up in his arms, she stroked my bare back with his fingertips until I fell asleep.